Good evening, good evening. Just going to give a couple of seconds to give people a chance to see the notification and pop on. I just want to talk a little bit today about the ego. So when you're using your intuition and you're asking these questions, you're getting answers in your mind. And what are those answers? Where are they coming from? And can you trust them? Okay, let's see. Just give just a few more seconds. I just like to wait until about 1 minute just so that people have the opportunity to see it and jump on. But like I said in the description, we're going to be talking about the ego tonight. Okay? So for those of you who aren't familiar with my work or what I do, I help women a lot tuning into their intuition, that inner voice that many people hear in their head. Sometimes people feel their intuition like as a sense in their gut. Like there's different types of intuition and they're called clairs. And so how your intuition comes to you kind of depends on which clair you're most naturally gifted in and which one you kind of receive your messages through. If you think of it this way, like your intuition is always trying to get to you. And so whatever road you have open, that's the road it's going to drive on to get to you. So if you're like clairaudient, for example, and hear it like a voice in your head, and that comes really easily to you, that's the way you're going to get most of your insights, most of your intuitive information. But other people see it as visions or feel it in their body or just get a download, like just a knowing. There's different ways. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight. So if you watched my live last night, I had someone ask a question. And so what I was doing last night in the live was asking you to ask yourself questions about what you expected around if you could make money doing something you loved and what that brought up for you. Okay. So what that brings up for you is coming back to you through your intuition. You're hearing things in your head. So what this person had was she received some feedback and whatever, went to bed, thought about it. And when she woke up this morning, she was like, okay, so I have some ideas and here's how I want to move forward. But then I was kind of like, I don't know if I should because I started hearing these other things in my head. And she's like, I don't know if that's my ego or if that is just a sign that maybe I shouldn't be moving forward with these sort of things. So your intuition is coming from your higher self, from God, from the universe, however you want to define that energy source that is much larger than you and all-knowing, has access to that. Your ego is with you, with your person just in this lifetime, okay? And your ego's sole purpose is preservation of the self. So it cares about you staying alive. It cares about your image and what other people might think about you. It cares about how others might judge you. So it might show up as you judging yourself in advance before the other person judges you. So you're standing in the mirror and you're like, oh, I'm so fat. You're making that judgment of yourself to protect yourself before someone else out there says it. Because if you're not even thinking you're fat and you're like, I'm hot stuff, and then you go out and someone calls you fat, it's going to hurt your feelings, right? But if you know in advance, you're already prepared. You've already beat yourself up. They can't beat you up. So this is what I'm talking about. Your ego stepping in. Your ego doesn't like you to change. And it's not because your ego is bad or terrible or anything like that. Your ego doesn't want you to change because, like I said, it cares about self-preservation and you living. And it can only protect you based on what it knows, which has to be a past experience of yours. If you start reaching out into something new and going into an area of the unknown, the ego can't protect you anymore. It doesn't know how to because it doesn't have the information to process that, right? And that's where we get into trust in the universe and allowing your angels, your guides, spirits, God, whoever you believe in, that energy to step in and protect you and guide you through this new uncharted territory. So here's how you can tell. One, if it's fear-based, it is likely to be your ego. It is very, very likely to be your ego, because your higher self or God doesn't come from a space of fear, because it's all knowing. It knows that you're safe. It knows that it's not going to lead you in a direction. Now, that's not to say that it won't be like scary or whatever, because if it's something new, like, it's natural and it's human to be like, ooh, this is new, I don't know anything about it. But it's not going to be fear-based, if that makes sense for you. So it's not going to be fear-based. If the voice is, well, I'm saying the voice because I'm mainly clairaudient, so I usually hear it, not feel it or whatever. But if it's rude or nagging or anything you would consider negative, likely to be your ego, because your higher self and spirit, they're going to encourage you. They're going to suggest, right? But they're not going to tell you what to do. And 3, if it harms anyone, yourself included, in any way, no matter how small it is, it's your ego. Guidance you receive through your intuition is always for the highest good of anyone impacted. Anyone who's impacted by the actions you're going to take or the guidance you receive, it will always be for their highest good, okay? So you can tell in those 3 ways if it's coming from your ego or not. Now, if it is coming from your ego, all you have to do is tell it to shut up. Just tell it it's not welcome here and move forward. If you struggle a lot with that, you can reach out to me. This is something that I help people with so that they can learn how to work through that and use their intuition in their business without fear of, is this my ego? Is it not? Is this good advice? Is it not? You can also just ask us another question, and that would be, what's the truth here? And what's the lie? Okay, I'm going to type those into the comments real quick. So, what's the truth? Oh, apparently oh my goodness, as I type that in, I realize there's all sorts of comments down here from other people. Sorry about that. I don't know why my computer wasn't refreshing. Okay, so what's the truth and what's the lie? That's going to get really clear for you, because the truth is going to be what's trying to get through to you from your higher self and from source. What's the lie is what your ego is showing up to tell you. It's trying to protect you. So once again, don't judge this as bad or wrong. Allow the information to show up and just say thanks, but no thanks, right? You don't need it. So if your ego is sitting there saying, like, say you're wanting to take a new job and your ego's going, yeah, but you're not good enough. You might do it wrong. What if you get fired? If you leave this job for another one, that's a big risk. You might get fired if you do something bad, right? That's the lie in it. Because the truth is that if you're being guided to take another job, there's something good in it. Even if it ends up in you being fired, it's a step along your path in the right direction. You don't really care how that job ends or what happens at that job, because you know that if you take this next step with your intuition, that's the correct step, it will lead you to the following step, and you will just keep stepping forward from one intuitive step to the next. Okay? So don't let yourself get wrapped up in the future. You know what? That's another good point that's popping into my head right now, is that your ego will pull you from the present moment into the past or into the future to try to justify the feelings that it's giving you, right? It's going to try to pull you into, that, not necessarily depression, but that kind of replay thinking, where you replay something that's happened with, shoulds or coulds and that sort of stuff, or pulling you into the future with anxiety, like all of the possible negative outcomes that could happen. You're not concerned with the negative outcomes. Yeah, of course, there's always possible negative outcomes. But if you're following your intuition, you know that you're doing what's best for you, so you know that it's ultimately leading you to your highest good. So you don't care if something bad comes along the way, okay? Because you know and trust in the universe to always have your back. So you know that you're always supported and you can make it through whatever shows up, and that everything that is showing up is meant to be showing up for you. Okay, so I hope that that makes it a little more clear for you about how you can tell when you're asking these questions to yourself, you know, when it's your ego and when it's like your higher self or spirit talking to you, okay? With that being said, if you haven't already seen it, I know I've been promoting it quite a bit. Tomorrow night is my live event. So Money, It's an Inside Job. And it is for women in the area because it is live, so you need to be local. And it's from 6:30 to 9 tomorrow night. $15 gets you in, and it includes your dinner and a drink. And we're going to be talking about your relationship with money. I'm going to be guiding you through some practices so that you can connect with your own relationship with money, with the energy of money that's showing up for you, and figure out what are some few steps for you to take to start healing that relationship with money that you have. And we'll just work through that all together tomorrow night and get you headed in the right direction, whatever issue is coming up for you with money. It doesn't have to be, like, not everybody's going to have the same one. So you just show up with whatever's coming up for you. And if you don't know, like, if all you can do is sit here and say to me, well, I don't really know what the problem I have is with money. It's just that I obviously don't have as much as I want, or I can't buy as many things or experience as many things as I want, like maybe a vacation or part-time work versus full-time work or whatever it is, you know? Like, when you get there, part of the process of connecting with that energy of money will be asking money what's showing up for you and what needs to change. Okay? So if you're open to the work, just purchase your tickets, and I'll see you tomorrow night. I'm just going to check the comments real quick before I jump up and just make sure that there weren't any questions that showed up while I was. It's not letting me scroll, but I can see that there was more comments than I have right here. So I'll end the live, and then I will just reply to any comments that I need to in the post. Have a good night.